The world's strongest man or strongest woman is a man. Here's Piers Morgan. Many congratulations to Jammie Booker, who won the world's strongest woman competition in Arlington, Texas. The fact Jammie is a biological male with a massive physical advantage over the actual women competing shouldn't detract from a well-earned victory. Piers is being sarcastic, by the way, if anyone can't pick up on that sarcasm. And it literally is South Park come to life. This was the screen grab from South Park back in the day, where the South Park meme has officially and accurately been recreated. Just brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, look, Randy Macho Man Savage, this is a guy who used to kick the crap out of Hulk Hogan all the time, and there he is pretending that he's a woman. Look, we're all just past this. I listened to your intro earlier on the show, and it's like everyone's just over this. Enough. We are going to look back. And as my friend Jordan Peterson says, these doctors that perform these surgeries will be looked back on as butchers. There was a mass mental health crisis. There was a social contagion element to it, particularly as it pertains to young girls. And it was disastrous. And by the way, I think we've talked about this once or twice, Will, but the whole idea of the LGBT community, the T's are the ones who are actually radically against the L's and the G's and the B's, because usually what they're doing is going after some young boy who happens to be effeminate that might end up being a gay guy, but maybe not. There are sometimes effeminate straight men, or a girl who happens to be a little more butch. Maybe she's into sports a little bit more than Barbie, and then they go after her. So they're actually radically anti-gay. So separating those letters is also very, very important. But we are going to look back on this, or our children will look back on this and say, man, how did you guys, even for guys like us that have fought against it, how did you guys not scream from every rooftop every day relentlessly?
That's interesting you bring that up. I would be curious. I wonder if we have stats on this. Like, take trans men. So a trans man, no. Take trans women. This is the problem. I can never get it. A trans woman is a man, okay, and now is displaying as a woman. What percentage of them are attracted to men versus women? I'd be really curious to know that, because you're right. You're right. Like, I do think there's a societal impulse to push effeminate young boys or gay boys in the direction of maybe you're actually a woman, but I don't know. Like, therefore are a lot of trans women, so men, attracted to men, or are they attracted to women?
Right. So I don't know the numbers on that either, but I do know, if I'm not mistaken, and someone can fact check me on this, maybe my guys can do it live, that Iran is one of the largest percentage of transgender people in the world, because what they are radically against, are gay people. So rather than if a mother is growing up and she looks at the little boy and he happens to be effeminate, let's say, she would rather quite literally chemically castrate him, dress him up as a girl, and call him a different name, and have him live his life that way, rather than saying, "Oh, you are just gay." So that gets to the point, and we can check some numbers on that. But this is so like very well known.
You're absolutely you're right. I did this story, Dave, when I was at ESPN, or I pitched the story. I didn't get to do the story because I find this fascinating. I'm sure it's different now. But let's say 20 years ago, Iran was where you would go for the most elite, trans surgery, trans whatever, right? Medical treatment, because of what you just described. And then the women, of course, they cover their bodies completely. They don't wear, like when they play sports, it's ankle to wrist. So there was a scandal of the Iranian women's soccer team. No one knew how many of them were actually men. And there was a suggestion that actually a high percentage of them are actually men because of what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't surprise anybody. I mean, these are all uncomfortable things to talk about, but, we've been led down this path for the last 10 years that we had to accept all this. And, the irony is that most people, especially in America, most people are extremely over the top tolerant. So, if someone is 21 years old or 18 years old and they wish to call themselves another name, or they wish to dress up differently, or do whatever they want with their body, whether it's a tattoo or whatever, it's your body, right? The left used to say, my body, my choice, right? And then came COVID and they flipped on that real quick. But most Americans, when it comes to how an adult behaves, if you treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect. But largely, the thing that dysregulated this was the focus on children. And then in places places like California, where they were quite literally going to pass a bill that was going to allow the state to take your children if you didn't affirm their gender, but it wasn't affirm, that they meant disaffirm their actual gender and affirm the psychological gender.